How's it going, everyone? Yosef back here with another video, and I hope you're having an amazing week so far. Today we are going to answer an important question. People ask me all the time, Yosef, what's the best car for my family? What's the best car for my kids? Well, today we are going to answer the question of, is the Volkswagen Taos, the 2025 updated model, the best new car you can buy for your kids? Because, well, it's the middle of July and a lot of kids are preparing for college, or maybe they're done college and university and they're getting their first job soon. The question is, what should you buy them? And is this 2025 Volkswagen Taos the right choice for you? Well, today we're going to find out. But before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, my name is Yosef. I happen to be a car enthusiast with 3 kids, and I used to sell cars in the past. So if you're interested in my perspective, please subscribe. All right, now on with the video. So here's the thing, if somebody asked me for my personal opinion, what's the best first car you should buy your kids? Well, my suggestion would be buy a very cheap used hatchback in a manual transmission so your kid learns how to drive properly and they're not distracted. But nobody's asking me because I know that most people don't think like me. You want to get a nice car, something that's a little more exciting and better to look at and a little bit more modern. A lot of kids nowadays want something just more than a $10,000 used car. So the big question is, what should you be looking at if you had your heart set on a brand new vehicle, something that was practical, something that was safe for your kid? When you want to buy your kid their first car, there are a lot of considerations that you have to make. You want something obviously that's going to be relatively inexpensive to buy, something that's going to be practical, that's going to be safe, that's going to be easy to drive, that's pleasing to look at, but also something that's not going to cost you a lot of money to maintain or run. So the question is, does the Volkswagen Taos hit all of those criteria? Well, to start things off, we have to take a look at the price. Okay, so let's talk about price. And the Volkswagen Taos for 2025 starts at $32,606 Canadian for the Trendline, which is the base model. But if you really want to spend, you can go all the way up to the high line for $41,806, which is a lot of money for a subcompact SUV. The thing is though, most of the competitors are about the same price, if not a little more expensive. So you're getting a lot of value for the Taos. So, is the Volkswagen Taos practical? Well, in short, yes, it is quite practical. It's relatively large compared to all of its competitors. It's got this boxy shape that allows you to really maximize the interior space. Whether you're sitting in the front seats or in the back row, you've got a lot of legroom, a lot of headroom, and the trunk is enormous too for what you'd expect. This is a subcompact vehicle. Remember, it's competing with the Honda HR-V and the likes of the Mazda CX-30, which are generally very small vehicles, but you get a tremendous amount of space in here, and that makes it very practical. On another note, you also have the pass-through in the back area, which not every vehicle has nowadays. So if you want to carry your friends and you have 2 people sitting in the back seat, but you also have longer items, you have the ability of folding that little section down just behind the armrest to put those larger items. Another point in terms of practicality that Volkswagen does an exceptional job at is giving you a lot of interior storage. You've got some big door bins over here, and you've got some clever cubbies in the armrest and all around the vehicle, which is really nice to have. You're also covered with big cup holders, you've got USB Type-C chargers, and all the stuff that you would normally want, except the one thing that drives me crazy is we don't have the sunglass holder over here. Why not, Volkswagen? Well, it definitely looks large enough. The only thing is, it only has a 4 out of 5 star crash test safety rating. That's something you'll have to decide. The good thing about this is this particular trim line that we have actually has all-wheel drive, and that's going to be very helpful in the winter to navigate all of those slippery roads and to give you that added traction. So that's definitely a positive. Not every vehicle in this segment comes with all-wheel drive. Most of them you have to go up a couple trims just to get it. Outside of that, this vehicle comes with so many standard safety features. You've got 6 standard airbags. You've got electronic stability control. You've got front assist automatic emergency braking. You've got hill assist and descent control. You have tire pressure monitoring systems, and you've got pedestrian detection. This thing is loaded. You even have active blind spot monitoring with rear traffic alert. That's something that only used to come on the most high-end vehicles back in the day. And you have travel assist and adaptive cruise control with lane assist and emergency assist, and a vehicle anti-theft immobilizer. That's a lot of kit to come as standard. I think so. If you look at the competition, there isn't a lot of excitement in design when it comes to these subcompact SUVs. And I think Volkswagen's done a really nice job at keeping it tasteful. It's interesting to look at. It's got a charm to it, but it's not overstyled, and it doesn't look as generic as everything else. And one thing that Volkswagen's done a nice job at is really make sure that you've got these little details around the vehicle. The headlights have a nice sort of slim design to them. The taillights look really great, and you've got a light bar with the illuminated rear Volkswagen logo in the back. And you've got these very German creases that go alongside the vehicle, and it gives it that sort of muscular but not overstyled look. I think this thing will age well, and I think people will look at this and say, you know what, that's a fun little car. And if I was a teenager getting my first car, I'd be happy with it. Alright, let's take a look at the interior, and we're greeted with a really nice door card. The materials are okay. There is definitely some cost cutting because this is the cheapest model you can buy from Volkswagen in terms of SUVs, but you've got a nice armrest, some stitching. There is some nice contrast in terms of colors here. You've got the big storage bins that we talked about, and the seats are superbly comfortable. They're really nice, even though these are the cloth seats. I really like the fact that we actually have some design here. There are different colors and materials being used. Although the one thing you're going to have to give up is the fact that you've got manual adjustments for the seats. But bear in mind, this is just for the base model. As you move up the trim levels, you've got all the luxuries, and you've got the automatic power seats with the memory and all that kind of stuff. Now, taking a look at the steering wheel, you're greeted with Volkswagen's typical steering wheel that we've got on pretty much every model now. However, it's really nice because it looks very similar to the GTI with a flat bottom. You have the nice physical buttons brought back, unlike the Golf R, and that's something that's relatively unique. I also really like the fact that we still have a physical shifter, and you've got a lot of space over here. Taking a look at the armrest, you've got this big cubby there, although we don't have the ratcheting armrest, which I love on the Golf R, GTI, and Tiguan, but everything looks very nice and well integrated. The screen is, well, it's got a lot of bezel, but it is the base model, and you can get a larger one on the higher trims. And you've got this really nice plastic trim that goes along the dashboard just to give it a little contrast. It is gloss black plastic, but we'll forgive it. Again, this is the base model. Probably most surprising, though, is the fact that you've got a digital gauge cluster. This isn't as nice as most of the other models because, well, this is a cheap entry-level car, but it is nice that it's configurable. It does look pretty good. It's not the highest quality in terms of black levels and things like that, but even the infotainment system is surprisingly good. It's very intuitive. It's easy to use. It's well responsive. This one doesn't have navigation, but you know, it gives you all the features that you would normally need in a car. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it's wireless, and it looks pretty good. The screen is actually a relatively high quality one, even though it's only 8 inches. But I'm really impressed that we actually have a physical volume knob over here. That's really nice to see in a modern car. It's also worth mentioning that you've got a physical drive mode selector, which is awesome. Instead of having to go through a screen and menus, you've got this selector that allows you to choose what drive mode you want. You even have the custom mode, which you can select how you want everything set up. But overall, that's a nice feature to have on a base model. One thing that I don't particularly like in the interior here is the fact that we've got these sliders and touch buttons for the HVAC stuff. I would much prefer physical dials for this, although it isn't as bad as others. Sometimes you've got automakers putting everything in the screens. Here you've got the dedicated sliders over there, which are okay, and you've got a really nice set of USB-C charge ports over there, which will help you keep your stuff charged as you're going for a nice long drive. One thing that is a little frustrating, though, is we don't have a big backup camera. You'll see it's a relatively small space on the screen. It would have been nice to have a 360 camera, but I guess, again, this is the base model, so we've got to take what we can get. Moving to the backseat area of the new Taos, you'll notice that you've got, well, a very similar door card to what we had in the front. The materials are almost exactly the same, and there isn't that much cost cutting moving to the back as you would find in some other vehicles relative to the front. And it is nice that we still have some of that stitching, the colors, and the big door bins back here. And then taking a look at the seats, again, very similar to what we saw in the front. I, again, really like the way that they're set up. You've got the ISOFIX points that are really easy to use. What really stands out for me in this back seat area is just the sheer size of it. There's so much room back here. It's surprisingly spacious for a subcompact SUV. I mean, you could definitely fit 3 people back there with ease, and you've got a lot of room for your legs, for your feet, a lot of headroom back there. The packaging is really well done. You do have a bit of a reminder here of the fact that you've got the base model because, well, you can see that center console area would normally have air vents and the climate controls for a third zone, but here, clearly we don't have that. That's reserved for the higher trim levels, but it's nice that you do have a cubby space over there, and the armrest is really nice. nice. You've got cup holders baked in, and overall that's very functional. No, it is not powerful, but it gives you just enough power for what you need. It's powered by a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that gives you about 174 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. And this all gets delivered to you through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Well, honestly, it drives really well. It drives about as well as you would expect from a car like this in its class. It's relatively small, it's light on its feet, it's a very comfortable vehicle, especially with these cloth seats. You just sink into them and they're great for the winter, they're great for the summer. You don't really have to worry about anything like that. The driving position is relatively high. It drives like an SUV. You've got great visibility in here, slightly thick door pillars on the front, on the A-pillars, but other than that, the visibility is quite good. There's a lot of room in here. You feel that this is a very spacious vehicle. And it's funny because I drove the Mazda CX-30 not too long ago, and that felt so cramped and so tight. And this Taos competes with that, which is crazy in my opinion. This Taos, one of the big party pieces is that it's so massive. It feels a lot bigger than it really is, and that makes it a lot more practical for the day-to-day use. And instead of having to go for a larger vehicle like a CR-V or a RAV4 or a Mazda CX-5, you can buy a Taos and save all that money, and you get all the space and convenience and practicality of a larger vehicle. And so, generally speaking, you get a lot of bang for buck with this thing. And it's not the most powerful engine in the world. It's only got a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine that puts out 174 horsepower, which is not a lot, but it's perfectly capable for the normal day-to-day commute, for driving around, and especially as a first car for your kids. You don't want them to have crazy amounts of power and have them show off to their friends and go crazy. This is perfect for what you would need. And other than that, it's very quiet. The steering is nice. It's very light. It's not a very sporty feeling experience, and the brake pedal is very easy to modulate. So for a new driver, somebody who hasn't had a tremendous amount of experience, this is a great first car to get into and drive around. And the nice thing is, in this base model, you don't have a lot of tech that sort of distracts you from the driving experience. You've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, all the stuff that you would need, but the screen is perfect. There's no distractions in there. You're not checking Facebook and Instagram and watching YouTube videos on a giant screen in your Taos, but you have a digital gauge cluster, which is really nice. Not something that you would expect from a car at this price point. And you've got all the luxury conveniences that most people want. And you know what? Back when I was a kid, we grew up with wind-up windows, and you have power windows and locks over here. The only thing that's really manual in this driving experience is the seats. And you know what? For your kids, they'll manage with that. They don't need memory seats and ventilated seats and all that kind of stuff. This car gives you just what you need, nothing more, nothing less. And I really like the look of it. It's a very clean design. It looks great. The materials are pretty good, I have to say. For this class of vehicle, it seems a lot nicer than what it should be for a vehicle of this size and of this price point. And the dash is really nice. I like that we've got the stitching everywhere. There is a lot of plastic in here, so this isn't going to feel like you're getting into a Mercedes or a Lexus or something with better quality materials. But again, this is a subcompact vehicle that you're getting for around $36,000. And it's really nice that we still get the all-wheel drive system. The base Taos doesn't come with all-wheel drive. It's a front-wheel drive vehicle, but if I was getting a vehicle for my kids and I lived in Toronto, I would probably want to have the all-wheel drive system just for that security and to help out in the winter. Otherwise, you've got great seating in the back. If you wanted to bring your friends along with you, there's a lot of room back there. You can really fit adults, and you've got that pass-through, which makes it really convenient. So generally speaking, it touches on a lot of those great points. So to answer the question that we set off to answer, should you buy the 2025 Volkswagen Taos as the first new car that you buy for your kids? Honestly, given the competition out there, there are very few vehicles that I would choose over this. I know Nissan has the new Kicks, which looks kind of cool and funky and I think would be fun for kids. But other than that, most of the vehicles in this class don't really stack up in the same way that the Taos does. I've driven the HR-V before, I've driven the CHR before, or now the Toyota Corolla Cross, and I've driven the Mazda CX-30 before. Honestly, in terms of what you get, value for money, the Volkswagen Taos is quite good. The materials could be a little bit better. The throttle response isn't great. It does feel a little delayed when you really press on it, and I guess that's a good thing. Your kids aren't going to be speeding away from traffic lights, showing off and drag racing and all that stuff, but it would be nice if it had a little bit more responsiveness, in my opinion. The suspension is actually really nice. It's soft and comfortable. It's very quiet to ride in here, and it definitely doesn't handle like a sporty vehicle, but you don't want it to. It feels really great, and I think Volkswagen's done a great job tuning things to make it a comfortable experience. So yes, I would definitely be considering getting a Volkswagen Taos for my kids as a first new vehicle for them. You can't get in trouble with this thing. For the price, it gives you a lot of vehicle to offer, and if you really wanted to go nuts, you've got the Highline 4Motion all-wheel drive version that you can get all the luxury features, and I love that you get really cool colors with this thing too. Obviously not on the trend line, but if you moved up the different trim levels, you get a lot of great colors that you can choose from, which adds a little bit of personality as well, and it kind of future-proofs your kids so they don't have to go out and buy a larger vehicle later on. If it were me getting my first car though, I would probably opt for the GTI, even though it's a little bit more expensive, but you get a lot more fun for it. But as something to buy for my kids, this would be perfect. It's not too powerful. They're not going to be showing off to their friends about how cool it is and how fast it is, but it still looks great. They're not going to be made fun of getting a cheap, old and busted, garbage used car. So the Volkswagen Taos is a great vehicle to buy, and I think Volkswagen's done a really nice job with this refresh. It looks a lot better than it did before, and you've got a refreshed interior, and generally speaking, it's a great vehicle to drive. I have to say a big special thank you again to the folks at VW Volkswagen for lending me this 2025 Taos. Definitely wouldn't have been able to make this review without them. So if you're in the market for a Volkswagen and you live in the GTA, definitely check out VW Volkswagen in Thornhill. They are an amazing group of people. Shout out to Vincent and Daniel. They will absolutely hook you up if you're looking for a good deal on a brand new Volkswagen. So I hope you found this video helpful. I had a lot of fun making it, and I know that shopping for a vehicle for your kids is always a stressful situation, so hopefully this makes it that much easier for you. Thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.